Well, my friends.
Well.
This is a bit disappointing. It's Emmy nomination season. Emmys 2025 are in September, but the list of Star Wars nominations has been announced. If you're an Andor fan, as indeed I am, the show and many of the talented people who worked on it have been really snubbed. And when I say snubbed, it's almost a bit of a joke. Nothing for Diego Luna, nothing for Stellan Skarsgård, that was the one that really shocked me, and nothing for any of the ladies. Nothing for Adria Arjona, Genevieve O'Reilly, Denise Gough, Elizabeth Dulao, one of my favourites, as Claire Marquis, especially in the second season. But something which might surprise you is the Acolyte, that's right, the Acolyte, is now an Emmy-nominated series. Let's go through this. This was posted by StarWars.com. Best Drama Series nominee Andor, up for 14 Emmy Awards. So like I said, there is some good news here. 14 awards is nothing to scoff at. But some of the people, some of the actors you might have thought were a given, weren't even considered. And oh my goodness, Stellan not being nominated, that's just an insult. To my mind, in that second season, he gave one of the best performances of his entire career. And I'm very familiar with his stuff. Good Will Hunting, Dune, Pirates of the Caribbean, and you know what's crazy is that after Andor's first season where he gave his fantastic, iconic monologue, I thought to myself, how are they going to top this for season 2? How is Stellan going to beat that performance? I didn't think it was possible, but there I was rewatching Andor season 2 for the third time, and I'm just going to say it, I thought Stellan and the character of Luthen was better in the second season. Am I insane for thinking that? Maybe it's the exploration of his character with the flashback in episode 10, his sacrifice to make sure his intel stays with him, and I guess Clea who survived. But I noticed he wasn't on this list, and I thought to myself, no. We're gonna make a video about this. Meg, get on the microphone, press record. You have to talk about this. We need to make a fuss. I'm not happy with this. So let's take a look at the full list. For Andor, Outstanding Production Design for a Narrative Period or Fantasy Program, and that was for the episode Who Are You? So part of the Gorman arc, and yes, I agree with this. When you look at the work that went into the Gorman Plaza, the production design was second to none. Then you have Outstanding Cinematography, and the episode that's nominated is the last one of the first arc, Harvest. That was the episode that alternated between Mon Mothma's daughter's wedding on Chandrila and Mina Rao. I agree the cinematography was outstanding. I don't know if I would say that's the best cinematography of the entire season, but it's definitely up there. Every single episode was a masterpiece. Outstanding fantasy sci-fi costumes, again, Harvest. The Chandrilan outfits were amazing, and I'm actually very surprised we haven't had a Mon Mothma Black Series or Vintage Collection figure where she's wearing her Chandrilan robes. I don't know if that's something Hasbro is considering, but I'm not the first person to suggest this. I think it'd make for a very cool and unique Star Wars action figure, because so far most of the Mon Mothma figures we have are either Power of the Force or the Revenge of the Sith line, and most recently from a couple of years ago, the Black Series figure from Andor Season 1 of her wearing her Senator's outfit, but nothing more adventurous. No other iterations, not from Ahsoka or for Andor Season 2. Unfortunately, nothing with her wearing her Chandrilan attire. And I don't know if you guys are fans of the action figures, I don't know how many of you are collectors, but I am. Now this one made me very happy. The Gorman song, We Are the Gore, which they chanted in opposition to the Empire, has won outstanding original music. I really love that the most intricate details of this season are being acknowledged, and indeed celebrated. So now we come on to the only 2 actors that were nominated for these Emmys. For guest star, Forrest Whitaker as Saw Gerrera. As you guys can imagine, as a massive Saw defender myself, I'd say this is super well deserved. And the second is for outstanding voiceover performance, Alan Tudyk as K2SO. Again, a legend. But I am absolutely baffled there was nothing for Diego Luna, and nothing for any of the ladies as supporting actress. Other categories include sound engineering, special visual effects, and like I mentioned at the start, The Acolyte got a nomination for outstanding sound editing for a comedy or drama series. Now forgive me for this if you're a fan of The Acolyte, but I was very tempted to make the joke that of course it got comedy. There is no way you can take it seriously. I'm just being facetious, but despite not being the biggest fan of this show, I do have to agree that when it comes to the episode listed, which was episode 5 Night, the sound engineering and the overall soundtrack, in this case sound editing, was pretty great. It was very eerie. That's the episode where the stranger Chimera kills all those Jedi Knights. And it was the episode that felt the most horror-esque, which I suppose makes sense because the composer Michael Abels is primarily a horror composer. And look, I don't want to ramble on about this, but I still just can't get my head around the fact The Acolyte is now an Emmy-nominated show, but Stellan Skarsgård was snubbed for what was probably one of the best performances of his life. I know, I get it, it's apples to oranges, and if you do apples to apples, Andor got nominated for more Sound Awards, but I'm just feeling a bit salty because I think a lot of those actors deserved better. I'm not the only person upset about this. This person writes, Skarsgård, Rael, O'Reilly, Luna, and Goff all deserve nominations. Absolutely effing ridiculous none of them got in, and it shows the Emmys are effing garbage. Yeah, pretty much. Again, O'Reilly, Rael, Luna, Goff, Sola, Lesser, there were many great performances that deserve nomination. And yes, I'm sorry if I didn't mention Carl Sola earlier, but he did a wonderful job as Cyril Khan. So freaking wrong. The Emmys are such a joke. Absolutely ridiculous. Fans are inconsolable over this, and understandably so. Andor Cast, you are all Emmy nominees and winners in my house. This person says, Andor Season 2 once again had some of the best performances in television history, yet the cast got a total of 1 Emmy nomination. Congrats, Forrest Whitaker. But still, come on. 1 Emmy, Diego Luna snubbed, Stellan Skarsgård snubbed, Genevieve O'Reilly snubbed, but congrats to Forrest Whitaker. Not to take away from him, of course, but yeah, it does seem like a bit of a joke, doesn't it? So did they watch anything else besides The White Lotus? The frick is this list? And yes, they're right. The White Lotus is dominating the Emmys this year, and not just in supporting actor, but across multiple categories. And I hope the actresses, in particular of Andor, don't take this personally. This isn't anything new. Star Wars tends to be snubbed, despite several nominations. Star Wars rarely wins, so this is by no means representative of their performance. People like Elizabeth Dulao have such bright futures, and she absolutely nailed it as Clea. So this isn't the end. Chin up. This is just such a weird selection. For whatever reason, I'm starting to think the Emmys have it out for Andor, because in Season 1 it had 8 nominations and won nothing. That's pretty ridiculous. There was cinematography, musical composition, main title themes, sound editing, special visual effects, best overall drama series, directing for a drama series twice, and it won zilch, 0, nada. Of 65 nominations, Star Wars TV shows have only had 16 wins, and the fact none of them came from Andor, that's a big red flag. It's just a bit of a joke, to be honest. And here is an absolutely mind-blowing fact for you. Do you know that in all of Star Wars history, the only acting Emmy that a Star Wars actor got was the voice of Professor Huyang, David Tennant? That's probably the most bizarre thing that sums all of this up. David is amazing. I love the character of Huyang. He was great in Ahsoka as well. But the fact that to date, that is the only Star Wars acting win is pretty comedic.